Welcome to North Country Commerce, a business and community service of the Plattsburgh North Country Chamber of Commerce. I'm Gary Douglas, president of the Chamber, and every couple of weeks we try to bring you a new segment focusing on something going on here in the North Country of interest to business and sometimes just of plain interest to everybody here in the region. And that's really what we're going to talk about here today, which is one of the most exciting projects that this Chamber has been engaged in many a year, because it's going to lay the foundation really for building a better future for the entire region by providing more services, better services, more up-to-date services to business, to the people creating jobs and keeping jobs here in our region. It's called the North Country Center for Business and Industry, and it's really a step up from the Chamber from its present location and facilities to a whole new kind of facility. It's meant to be about a whole lot more than just space. In fact, really the last thing it's about is space, although it'll give us more space, but it's the kinds of space and the opportunities that it's going to create for us to do things that we couldn't even think of doing right now without this kind of facility that are really important. With me is the chairman of the Chamber, Don Dooley. Welcome, Don.
Hi, Gary. Good to be here today.
And Don was a part, together with a number of other Chamber leaders over the last couple of years, and really taking a strategic look at the Chamber's future, not just for the next year or the next 2 years, but really taking a look at the Chamber and looking out 10, 20 years into the future, and trying to determine what kind of Chamber do we think the North Country is going to need to support the kind of business community that will be here in the future, and to help attract new business and new kinds of companies here. And then having some sense of what kind of Chamber we think the North Country is going to need, what things do we have to do to be that kind of Chamber. And the accreditation process, which we've talked about here before, the U.S. Chamber required us to have a whole task force that looked at facilities and equipment as a very key part of that. And that was very fortuitous on their part and really timely for us, because it made us look inward at that. And we realized that if we're going to be the kind of Chamber we need to be, we got to get out of where we are.
That's right. I find it very interesting to sit back and go through the process here in my mind. My memory goes back to our planning sessions. We call them board retreats for the entire board of directors. And I admire them for doing this. It takes a day off of their time. It happens once a year. And they sit down and really try to deal with the issues of the future. And the fact that we needed more space and we needed more presence, I first heard about 2 years ago at the second board retreat that I went to. And the idea was wrestled with, and it was considered to be merit, and we set out our goals to achieve it, and we're on the steps of achieving it. And I'm really looking forward to the groundbreaking ceremony.
And what we really looking at what this Chamber has done over the last several years. We've grown exponentially, both in terms of members, but also in terms of services that are now expected of us that we're providing. Whole new programs and endeavors that you went back 10 years ago, I don't think this Chamber even foresaw itself doing, or certainly doing to the extent that it's now doing. 5 years ago, this Chamber didn't have an industrial council. It's now perhaps one of the most demanding and important divisions of the Chamber, with all of the industrial support services that we provide to our growing industrial base, and as a key ingredient in economic development, because we're conveying to these new companies looking at our area, there's no place else you will go that you will have an instant network of support services that you have here. We can outline safety and quality assurance and all of those things that are so important to companies today. So we have all of that. Of course, we created the Visitors and Convention Bureau just 3 years ago, and really turned our tourism program from a very seasonal, volunteer-driven kind of program to a much more aggressive, professionally driven kind of effort to increase the tourism base here in the North Country. Small business services. Several years ago, we had just the beginnings of a volunteer small business committee, just looking for the first time at direct services this Chamber might do for small business. Now we have a full-time professional on staff. We have a SCORE chapter. We have a U.S. Small Business Administration Resource Center. We have a World Trade Center status here. All of these things and more have developed. And what they've done is, of course, they've created an expectation of a level of service that we need to provide to live up to those commitments we've made. And that in itself continues to snowball, because the more you do, the higher the expectation. You have to keep staying ahead of that. You're expected to do more and more and never less and less. And so we really need and want a facility for the business and industrial community here in the region that both fully meets, properly meets all of the commitments that we're making today in to do them in a professional, meaningful way that will really help business out there. But even more importantly, we want a facility that isn't going to be outdated in 3 years. It's just going to meet what we need today and find ourselves 5 years from now saying, oh, gee, we're out of space. We don't have the right kind of space again. We need to go back and reinvent this wheel over. We want a facility that hopefully for decades to come will both be large enough but also flexible and appropriate enough to serve those needs. Because we know they're changing. They're changing constantly.
Absolutely. It's very interesting, Gary. We thought we were going to need the space because we had more members and that we were going to be providing them more service. But the real reason we need this additional space and this additional presence is that the members that we have are expecting us to do more. We're a victim almost of our own success. As we accomplish Project A or Project B that you're talking about, people are expecting us to take leadership roles in Project C, D, and E. And I think that's
W, X, Y, and Z.
W, X, Y, and Z. And I think that's really good. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, and I really want to give a tip of the hat to you and to your excellent staff here for all the tasks that they go on. The biggest learning experience that I've had this year is how many projects that you have going and how calm and how capable everybody is. The other thing that's very important too is that we're bringing in members of the community to help us. And they may have interest in very specific projects, but every person that I've asked to help out in the last 2.5 years that I've been active in the Chamber has said, yes, we'd be glad to help. Lots of people are busy, they don't have time, but they will come in for a project that they have interest in and they'll work like dogs on that project. And we have to have some space and some room for those folks to work. It may not be about space, but boy, we sure are out of space here.
But we also need the right kinds of space. Now, some of the things that I mentioned, let me just touch on. These were the accreditation task force really looked at this and continued right up until recently. Really defined, first of all, rather than trying to fit ourselves into some available space, really define what do we want, what do we need, and then let's go out and find something that fits the vision, rather than trying to fit the vision into something that happens to be available. And we spent over a year, really almost a year after the vision was set, waiting for that opportunity and looking for something that fit the vision rather than working it backwards, which I think was critically important. Tourism. I think anybody who's ever been to the Chamber office here knows that we do our best to serve as visitors here, but it doesn't serve that function well. We aren't visible, we aren't readily accessible, and certainly the space that we have for visitor services and displays when people do come here, and certainly thousands of people do, but when they do come here, isn't adequate. We've massaged and managed the space several times here, but it just doesn't really suit the function of a visitor center. We want a center, and the new center that we're in the process of creating right now is going to give us a real, first ever Lake Champlain North Country Regional Visitor Center that's going to be right on Route 9, very visible, directly off exit 39 of the Northway. We're going to have signage off exit 39 that the state will put up for us, so visitors going north and south will know there's a visitor center here and come directly to us. That's something we never did here at this office because we knew we couldn't handle it. If we did it, we couldn't handle that much traffic. So we expect an exponential growth in the visitor traffic that we'll have. It also is right near the Grand Isle Ferry route, so it meets that goal of catching the east-west traffic to and from Vermont. And we'll have signage for that as well. We expect 5 times more space devoted exclusively to visitors, information, and services, including an outdoor space that's going to be under a new Adirondack-style portico, where even when the office, the interior visitor center, is closed, say on a Sunday evening, here at summertime like this, and somebody's come down from Montreal and they get off the Northway and come over, well, the center's closed. Beekman Town, all centers would be closed then, but there'll be a covered, lighted, secure area where they can pull in, and there'll be a kiosk under there where there will be brochures and information and maps and the things that will help service them even when the inside is closed. So 24-hour visitor service, a major step up in tourism promotion. We expect to get a whole lot more bang out of visitation in this area if we can interact with 10 times more visitors, and I think we can with a center over time. We can increase the bang out of 10 times more visitors in terms of their dollars spent here. Because the more we can tell them things to do, places to stay, places to eat, keep them here longer, the better for the area. Small Business Resource Center. This room we're interviewing in right now doubles as our conference room, our Small Business Resource Center, our SCORE office. It doesn't double, it kind of quadruples.
Looks like a storeroom sometimes too, Gary.
And storage. It just as the primary source of small business support services in northern New York, we need some dedicated space for that function. It's the most important thing the Chamber does because small business is the economy of this region. We wanted a center and are now going to have a center with 2 dedicated office spaces. They won't share with anything else at any other time. It will be just for small business services. One will be a small business resource center that any entrepreneur out there or small business person can come in anytime, access our library. There'll be 2 computer stations being provided by SBA where they can come in and access the internet, business planning programs, all of the data that's available to help them with things that they need in their business lives or trying to plan their business. And then separate from that, but adjacent to that, will be a dedicated office just for our SCORE program, our SCORE counselors, a place where they can do confidential counseling. It also doesn't have to interfere. The resource room, somebody can still be working out there, and somebody else can be being counseled in our inner office. And the Small Business Development Center at Clinton Community College will be part of this too, because they've agreed to partner with us, and at least one day a week, and we hope eventually over time it might build, they'll put one of their people at this office to do counseling on their part as well. So there's 2 very important functions right now. This office doesn't serve, the new place will. And then the Industrial Support Center, which is really our meeting and conference facility. We wanted a place with 12 to 1,300 square feet of modern kind of space appropriate to develop a state-of-the-art meeting and conference facility for use by our industrial sector. All of our industrial council activities and programs, which are growing, there's more and more every year, quality assurance, human resources, world trade, workplace safety, now we're getting into purchasing and procurement, transport and shipping. We need a staffed, home-based place where those councils and committees can do their workshops and their meetings. But then we also know the industrial community needs a facility to do its own corporate training or to do its own corporate communications, particularly the smaller, medium-sized companies we have in the area, where there will be a PowerPoint presentation capability. Satellite capability to pull in those programs. Let's say a company here has a chance to pull in some program for its managers, some satellite program, but it doesn't have that capability. They'll be able to use this room. Video conferencing, which is going to be very important. I know a lot of the companies are very excited about this. And that room is going to be in here. And just, I could go on, but the committee really determined what we wanted in each of these respects when we went out and found a facility that fits that.
Really looking forward to this. It's going to be quite a change.
And it really is, we'd say, but it really is about service, isn't it?
That's right. We're doing jobs that we never thought we were going to be doing 2 or 3 years ago. And I guess it leads me to think that we're going to be doing even different jobs in the near future, and this space is going to enable us to do it.
We're going to take you up there and actually visit the facility. But you've seen an architectural rendering here. It's called the Lake Breeze Building at present. It's at 501 Margaret Street, just north of the city of Plattsburgh. It's right next door to McSweeney's Hot Dogs. They get a free ad out of this, and across from the Crate Center. Some people refer to it as the berm building, because if we look at it right now, it has an earthen berm halfway up the building. As you'll see from the drawing, we plan to remove that from the facade to substantially change the look and facade of the building to create a real Adirondack kind of appeal and look to it. The access, which is now rather difficult, you have to go around through the back to get to the building, will be directly off Route 9, so it'll be very visible, very accessible. About 5,000 square feet of total building space as compared to the Chamber's present offices at 101 West Bay Plaza, which are about 2,000 square feet, so really a major leap in terms of the kinds of space we'll have for business services. And it's really going to be, and I'm proud to say this, it's going to be the kind of business center that right now, today, you will find Chambers providing in Albany, Burlington, Binghamton, Syracuse, and other kinds of centers that we certainly should be at least keeping pace with. And in fact, in many ways, we're already exceeding in terms of the services we're providing, in spite of not having the right kind of facility. And give us the right kind of facility, who knows where we'll be in a couple of years from now. At that, I think we'll break and meet you up at the building and let you have a look at it and kind of point out some of the things that we plan to be doing there over the next couple of months. So here we are at the building site, what's going to be the North Country Center for Business and Industry here at 501 Market Street in Plattsburgh. You can hear the traffic right out front, which tells you we're right on the main highway, Route 9, one of the things we wanted. And you see the facade of this building now. We pointed out there's kind of an earthen berm that goes halfway up this building. And that's because when it was first designed, it was designed with a new kind of heating system that was built into the floor of the building, and the earth was put around it as insulation. Well, that system didn't work too well in terms of economics and other features of it. So we're putting a new gas hot air system in here because there's going to be natural gas at this site by fall. And that means we don't need the earthen berm anymore. So we're going to take it away from the front of the building, not just because we don't need it, but because it's going to give us an opportunity to put this whole new facade on the building and give it this real Adirondack look, which will give it that signature kind of statement we want this building to have. When people visit the area, the chamber office, this building is going to be one of the first impressions they have about the North Country. We want them to have an impression of quality and to really have an impression about the character of the area, the whole Adirondack kind of mystique about our area. So that's what it'll look like opposed to now. And where we're standing, of course, right now is where this Adirondack-style portico will be going out the front, which will be the covered visitor center. And as you look out at Route 9, there'll actually be a drive that will come in directly off of Route 9. There will be 3 or 4 parking spaces directly in front of the building here for short-term parking by visitors coming in for brochures or directions. And then it'll wind away around the south end of the building and go to a 40-car parking lot at the rear with an entrance at both the front and rear of the building. So as opposed to what you see now if you drive by, where you wonder, gee, how the heck do I even get in that building? There will be direct access off Route 9 and a sizable paved parking lot for visitors. And of course, we're going to have that meeting facility we talked about. We could have 40, 50 people in there sometimes at a meeting or conference going on. We'll have plenty of parking for those folks when they come here. And this Adirondack-style facade you'll see here includes the portico. And you'll see this kind of tree look that we're going to have on the front. Again, putting that new kind of signature statement. It's going to be a very sizable portico, really about 20 by 20 covered area under here where all those visitor materials will be. And as people go in through the new front entranceway here, they'll come into the visitor center that we talked about, which will be substantially changed from the present space in the building with a staff counter that people will be able to come up to staff, ask questions. They'll have, again, about 5 times as much display space as now in the chamber offices for brochures and maps, materials, upcoming events, all those sorts of things that we want people to have. Anything that you'd like to add, Don, at this point, before we walk through?
No, I think this is going to make a great site for the Chamber of Commerce, and I think that the access is a very important thing. It's going to be very good for us to be right out here on Route 9 or Margaret Street. I'll never forget the day that I was a member of the Facilities Committee and we were evaluating our facility. We were standing in front of our existing building in West Bay Plaza, and a tourist walked up to me and asked me if we could give us directions to the Chamber of Commerce. And here we were with this wonderful sign that we were just hard to find, and that's going to be eliminated by this wonderful location.
Certainly is. Let me add just a couple more details before we go on a walkthrough here. Construction is underway. Duquette Brothers Construction was the low bidder. We put this project out to bid to all of our member general contractors, and they were the successful bidder and are already underway. Completion date, September 30th. We want to be in here and have an opening by early October at the latest, and have this fully up and operating for all the services that we're providing. We also want to make sure to thank Adirondack Bank. We went out competitively with all of our member banks to give them an opportunity to provide the financing for this project, and I want to credit all of them because they all came back with very creative financing proposals that really showed their commitment to trying to help this project. Adirondack Bank was particularly competitive, though, and really came in with a really attractive financing package. Again, a real commitment to helping the project go forward. We thank them for providing the financing. We're now going to take you through on a walkthrough, and you'll see construction is underway right now. And we'll try to describe for you what some of these different areas of the building will be when they're done, and what they're going to look like. And then, of course, in the fall, we'll come back and do a new episode of this show. And so you turn your VCRs on, tape this right now if you haven't done that yet, so you can compare what it looks like now with what it's going to look like come October.
Before and after.
Before and after. Okay, we're now inside, and as you can see, construction is definitely underway, which we're very happy about and exciting. The walls are coming down to prepare for the substantial changes that are going to take place inside this building. As you see now, what you're now looking at is over toward that area of the building that will become the Industrial Support Center, 1,300 square feet, state-of-the-art meeting and conference facility right off the main lobby of the chamber. Very excited about that, and as I said, the industrial community in particular is very excited about that. Where we're actually standing, this space right now, is what will be the visitor center, and it will run from the front to the back of the building. And I should point out that it's going to be wider. You'll see the walls are being removed. It's going to be a much bigger area than it is now, and it's going to be much higher. What you now see, the ceiling here that's now, is going to be taken away, and we're going to raise this and make a vaulted ceiling that's going to go all the way up to the roof line of the building. So we have this real big, open, airy, light space with windows letting light into it. Should be very attractive and very conducive to displays and banners and signs and maps and things that will make the visitor's experience as useful as possible. Another very practical kind of feature that we don't have at the Chamber right now, public restrooms. I can't tell you how many times we have visitors come in and they ask if we have a public restroom, and we have to say no because we just aren't equipped that way at our present Chamber offices. We have to send them, I'm sorry to say this, to places like McDonald's. They probably hate when we do that, but we're not going to have to do that kind of thing anymore because we will have public restrooms in here for visitors as well.
A new service from the
A
Chamber.
new service, a very vital service.
We'll do whatever is necessary.
And they'll stay around a little longer then too, and maybe pick up some more materials because they won't be quite so anxious to get somewhere else where they can find that service. So this is going to look very, very much different in here, and it'll all be carpeted and all finished in colors with a kind of an Adirondack North Country kind of decor to it. And what you'll see over here is where the camera is now panning. There will be a sizable counter there where the reception staff will be to answer visitor queries and to take care of members who are checking in for meetings over in the conference center. And everything really, I think, planned very well in terms of handling traffic in and out and servicing both members and visitors simultaneously. And then all of the Chamber offices, including the Small Business Resource Center, will be straight ahead there, just behind the counter, so people can check in at the counter and then be allowed access to the lending library and the computer stations. And then on through the whole rest of the whole south side of the building will be all of our new Chamber offices, really proper offices for our Visitors and Convention Bureau, for our small business programming, for our Industrial Council, and all of our support staff, giving us the space and the facilities, again, state-of-the-art. Everything's going to have pre-installed computer cabling in the walls, everything allowing a real modern phone system with all of our voicemail capabilities, really trying to design from the get-go everything we need to be a modern Chamber operation.
I think that's great that we're recognizing that we're going to be serving the entire community, whether it's business, whether it's industry, or whether it's a tourism sector, and I think that's very, very important.
Now, in terms of financing, of course, I mentioned that we got some mortgage financing from Adirondack Bank, which will let us get going. That really is a bridge loan, though. Our goal here really is to be totally debt-free within 3 years, isn't it?
That's a wonderful goal, because if we can raise the cash to pay for this building, we can put all of our members' dues and their investment towards us to the products and services that they expect from the Chamber of Commerce. So it's a very lofty goal, but it would be one that's going to pay off dividends. As everyone knows who's had a mortgage, if you could eliminate that mortgage payment, that you can live a lot easier in the next 30 years. And that's what we're trying to do, is give an endowment to the people, the board of directors, the people in our community that are going to be coming behind us.
So our goal really is member service, not debt service, and we have a capital campaign going on right now to raise $200,000 over the next several weeks to help finance this, and it's going very well. The response is very enthusiastic thus far, and we have a great team of volunteers out there soliciting in the community, and there's a lot of sponsorship and contribution opportunities, both large and small. I mean, from the large companies that might be giving us $10,000 down to the small contributor. We want everyone to have a chance to be a contributing part of this, and we certainly invite folks out there that might like to assist in any way as a contributor or as a volunteer who might help us with that effort to give us a call.
And I was hesitant to embark upon this campaign, but I've been very, very encouraged by the people that I've talked to. Number one, the Chamber has a very, very good reputation, and people are willing to support and endorse that. They also recognize that this is once in a 2 or 3 decade opportunity to really move the Chamber of Commerce forward. People tell me that business is tough and the economy is having a hard time, but I think the North Country recognizes that when times are tough, they're willing to put their money in places that are going to provide a good dividend, and the Chamber of Commerce is a good place to do that. And I want to thank all the folks that are helping us with our capital campaign right now.
Absolutely, and really well said, because it's a modern business community needs modern services, and they need services that are going to change, because the services this community needs now for its business community aren't the same as they're going to be even in 5 years. Technology is changing, the internet is here, the economy is globalizing, particularly here at our cross-border location. There are all kinds of changes really sweeping the way economics is impacting this community from tourism to industrial development. And we need to be ready for that, or we're going to find ourselves 5 years from now not being able to serve our members of today.
Sure.
If we don't plan to have the right kinds of facilities.
We're always proud to do business with each other, and member-to-member business has always been a very strong point of the Chamber of Commerce. But we also have to recognize that we're going to do business all over the world. And that's one of the launching points that we're going to be looking forward to, is remembering that that's something that we need to do, and this facility is going to help us do it.
So there you have it, the North Country Center for Business and Industry, a whole new kind of facility, not just chamber offices. I should mention that one of the smartest things the chamber did do about 10 years ago was to buy the offices that we're now in at 101 West Bay Plaza. You know, that may be a question in some people's minds. The chamber already owned its offices, and we have sold those. They're under contract, and that's going to help us pay the equity that we're getting out of that. It's going to take us a big step forward to paying for this facility. And if the chamber had not done that 10 years ago, we wouldn't be able to do this now, and there are going to be things 10 years from now we're going to be able to do because the chamber is doing this today. So this has always been a pretty forward-looking chamber, and hopefully we'll stay in that mode, and this facility will let us do so. So, a new center for business and industry, a new small business resource service here, a whole new level of tourism promotion made possible, industrial services, a World Trade Center, all under one roof. We thank you for watching this episode of North Country Commerce and look forward to visiting you again in a few months' time and show you the exciting changes that have taken place. As always, stay in touch with the Chamber and give us a call with any questions you have at 563-1000.